Good morning, everyone. It is good to see you and a joy and a blessing to be with you all on this beautiful Sunday morning. I'm Richard Maraj, Senior Minister here at Unity of Phoenix, and we just want to welcome you all. Great to see you. Thanks for being here.
And my name is Jimmy Scott. I serve as Pastoral Care Minister here. My pleasure to be here with you this morning as well. Our intention for this morning's service is that each person here is able to experience the presence and power of God in the way that is right and specific for them.
Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. I can feel the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
So I invite you now to just allow the power of those words to sink into your consciousness. And then just invite you to get comfortable in your seat. To take a deep, refreshing breath. And just upon the exhalation of that breath, release and let go of any busyness in your life and any activities that you've got planned for the day, and just give yourself permission to be fully present to the current moment. Just breathe into this moment. Just feel your body relaxing. Set a conscious intention to slow your mind down. Just feel the activity of your heartbeat. Again, letting go of any tightness or any tension that you may be holding physically. For the next few moments, just focus on the quietness. And each breath. Allowing the breath to revitalize the body. To rejuvenate the mind. Just completely relax. Peace. this moment, we give thanks for the Spirit of God that underlies the entire universe, because we know with God all things are possible. So we're grateful for family and for friends, for the connections that we make on a daily basis, for all the relationships that bless our lives. We're grateful for prosperity and abundance in every way, for good health and the blessing of family. For all these blessings and too many more to mention in these brief moments, may we be ever so grateful. Amen.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And leave us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
That was a beautiful song, and beautifully done, Kirsten. Great job. Fabulous, fabulous. Wow, 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 wow. Good morning again, everyone. And a shout out to everybody who tunes in and watches us online. So this strongly opinionated young teacher explained to her class of small children that she is an atheist. And then she asked any of them if they are atheists too. Not really understanding what atheism is and wanting to be liked by the teacher, the kids shot up their little arms in the air like little fleshy fireworks. And everybody raised their hand except one little girl named Lucy. She didn't raise her hand at all. And the teacher said to her, "So how come you were different? Why didn't you raise your hand?" And little Lucy said, "Because I am not an atheist." And the teacher said, "Then what are you?" She said, "I'm a Christian." And the teacher got a little perturbed, turned a little red, and said, "Well, why are you a Christian?" She said, "Well, I go to church every Sunday, and my mom's a Christian, my dad's a Christian, so I'm a Christian." And the teacher, getting a little upset, says, "Well, that's no reason. Suppose your mother was a moron and your father was a moron. What would you be then?" The little girl smiled and said, "I'd probably be an atheist." All right. So, I wasn't an atheist, but I didn't like going to church as a child. I didn't like church at all. And when I got called to ministry, I kind of reluctantly went. But when I got into seminary and started studying, I just absolutely loved it. I love studying spiritual principles. I love studying Jesus' teachings and realizing that he taught universal spiritual laws that apply to all of us. I love learning about the metaphysical view of the Bible. I loved studying and learning about prayer and how to deepen my own prayer life. I loved, learning about the power of our consciousness and how to lift up our consciousness to the Christ consciousness, to God consciousness. I just loved it. It was such a life-affirming message that Unity has. I just so enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed school, and from time to time we would have a guest lecturer. And once we had James Dillett Freeman speak to us. Anybody heard of James Dillett Freeman? So James Elliott Freeman was the poet laureate of Unity. He was the very first director of the ministerial school in Silent Unity. In 1941, he wrote the prayer protection that we do every Sunday, The Light of God Surrounds Us. Interesting thing, two amazing things happened. In 1969, Apollo 11, Buzz Aldrin somehow had a copy of the prayer protection and took it up to the moon with him. And then in 1971, Apollo 15, Colonel James Irwin took another poem of his called I Am There and left it up on the moon. So that was like really, really cool stuff. So here he is talking to our class. He's 85. He talked for about an hour. And for us, like, this guy's a legend. And so we were just in awe. And then some people were asking him some questions and said, so what's the single thing that you've learned that you found just so powerful in your spiritual study? And here's what he said. He said, I have learned that everyone in this life is hurting in some way. Every one of us is here to heal something. And our healing is a very important aspect of our spiritual journey and our spiritual work. Now, I have to say, I was surprised, saying, what was the most important thing you've learned? That he would talk about that we're all hurting and we need to heal something? You know, I was expecting to say that the Spirit of the living God is in you, and through that Spirit, you can do the things that Jesus did and greater, that God's Spirit is in you, the kingdom of God is in you, you can bring forth the glory of God, blah, blah, blah. I mean, all that kind of positive stuff. But he said the healing thing. And I wondered, why would he say that? And the reason is, I think, because he realized we already know that other stuff. Is that sometimes we don't think about the other. Is that we love the exciting, positive, inspiring stuff, but we don't always like to hear the hard stuff, the tough stuff, and the difficult stuff. Sometimes we would rather gloss over the difficult and, pass it by. We would rather just move beyond it quickly. And what he was trying to say is, don't miss out. And don't avoid the most powerful thing you can do to open your life to feel a deeper experience of God and more fulfillment, and open yourself to more peace and joy. Don't miss it out because it's uncomfortable, because it's an important part of your healing work. Not only is your life blessed when you do your healing, that it frees you, but it also blesses everyone by you expressing more light and love into the world. So I ask you, is there some hurt in your life that you have not allowed yourself to face or feel or own? Is there some hurt or betrayal or pain or heartache that you have never allowed yourself to fully get over? Sometimes I want you to think of one thing in your life, one belief or one hurt or one situation that you feel is the greatest thing that's stopping you from experiencing greater peace and happiness. And I would suggest to you that the thing we think that is holding us back from peace and happiness, the thing that we think is in the way of our peace and happiness, is the way to peace and happiness. Healing the thing we think that's holding us back from happiness is the very way to peace and happiness. So today we are talking about healing, looking at our hurts and our woundedness, our pain, looking at the areas in us that feel lost and abandoned. Because the truth is, life is an inside job. And every one of us is hurting, and it'd be easy to pretend it isn't there and to gloss over it. But the truth is, if we want to go deeper, if we want to have a richer and fuller experience of life, we must be willing to face those things and to move through and process, to feel, deal, and release the pain so we can feel whole, complete, and lacking in nothing. So we can be a greater channel for the love and light and joy of God. So we are in the third week of our Lenten series, Space for Grace. And we are really kind of mirroring the 40 days of spiritual preparation Jesus did, of fasting, of prayer, of being in solitude, and preparing himself internally and spiritually to open a way for allow himself to be a greater instrument for the great work that he did, for his great ministry. Moses had a 40-day of spiritual preparation, of solitude and prayer and cleansing and releasing before he received the Ten Commandments. Elijah had a similar process. And the fact is, it's a message to all of us. If you want your life to move forward, you must be willing to do that inner work. You must be willing to heal and to release to let go and to create a greater space for God's grace, to not only heal and bless your life, but to allow you to be a greater channel for love and wisdom and inspiration. The first week we talked about use me, that opening a space for God's grace by setting an intention that we will want God to use us for something great. The second week was empty me, to surrender and let go. And then today we're going to talking about heal me. How do we heal the things that are blocking us from feeling the fullness of God? And so the question is, why do we avoid healing and feeling the things in us that are wounded? And the first reason is it's painful. That's why, painful. Secondly, is that it's hard work. We can pretend it isn't, but it's some hard work, shining the light on some of the tender and painful areas of our lives. The third one is sometimes we tell ourselves we're just a little too busy. We'll get to it some point. We'll get to it. And sometimes we think it's not important. We should just move on with life. Don't worry about it. Just move on. But I think the main reason is I think at some level is we think that if I let myself feel all that's in there, that I'll fall apart. That maybe I won't be able to bounce back from it. Maybe it'll just take me out, so I better just not even go there. Anybody ever walk around and have a pebble in your shoe? Anybody ever have that experience? So walking around, pebble in the shoe, it's hurting. The journey's not quite as much fun. And yet, we think taking the time to stop, take off the shoe, pour the pebble out of the shoe, put the shoe back on, is just not worth the effort. Just too much time. And then, heaven forbid, have people look at us while we're doing this thing could be a very embarrassing thing. It's amazing how we complain about stuff or live with stuff that's hurting us and yet don't take the simple time to do the work that could actually make it better. It is amazing how we'll complain our relationships aren't going that well, and yet we don't take the time to go and seek counseling or even have heart-to-heart conversations. We can complain that we're gaining weight, and yet we don't join the gym or change our diet or exercise program. I've got a leaky faucet. I walk by it, complain all the time. Oh, look at that stupid leaky faucet. I could get a wrench and fix it in 10 minutes, but I don't. Anybody ever think you know what you should do, but you just don't want to do the work? What is it about us? We have the availability there to have more peace and more joy in our lives, and yet, we aren't willing to always do the work. A friend of mine, Reverend Jill, she is my prayer partner and dear friend and colleague. She just wrote a book called A Time to Heal. And it's about her cancer journey, but it's about every one of our journeys of healing. And she says that after the chemo and after the divorce and after the bankruptcy and after that, when it seems like, everything's okay, the problem isn't there anymore, she said, that's the time to heal. She said, every one of us, God wants to move from here to there quickly, but she said, every one of us needs to stop and take time to heal. Take time to feel, take time to process, take time to release, and take time to allow the lesson or the message or the inspiration that is meant, the gift that comes in the things that we need to heal. Even in the Bible, it tells us how important it is to take time to heal. Everybody remember the story of the lost sheep? Let me just read you a little bit of it. It says, if a man owns 100 sheep and one wanders away, does he not leave the 99 on the hill to find the one that is lost? And when he finds it, he puts it on his shoulders and rejoices, for God loves even the lost. Metaphysically here, the number 100 represents wholeness. So the 99, the one sheep that is lost, represents the part of us that feels lost, part of us that feels abandoned, part of us that feels unworthy and rejected. And it says here that the shepherd, the individual, should leave the 99 and go and get the one so he can come back to a sense of wholeness, so that there can be healing. Because sometimes we might have 99 great things in our lives, but sometimes that one wound, that one feeling of unworthiness, that one sense of pain or heartbreak can stop us from enjoying everything. And it behooves us, in fact, it is our job and a part of our spiritual work to take time to heal that so we can get back to a level of wholeness. You could have all the money, of Howard Hughes, the beauty of Marilyn Monroe, the talent of John Belushi, we see. that it is about being whole inside. That's where the wholeness comes from, not about the money or the externals. It is about that wholeness in here. That journey of the lost sheep happens right inside all of us. Every one of us is hurting in some way, and a part of our spiritual journey is to do our healing work. The question is, are you willing to take time to heal? Are you willing to do the work that is needed? So the question is, what do we need to do this healing work, to open a space for more of God's grace, to open a space to allow more of the flow of God's goodness in our lives? First thing, there are 5 things. First thing is just to be aware, just to notice and be honest and pay attention to when we feel hurt or wounded or sad, to notice that our heart is broken, to notice, that we feel shame or anxiety or regret. And it sounds simple. Just be honest with yourself. Tell yourself the truth. But I'll tell you, it's amazing how sometimes we lie to ourselves and don't even let ourselves own the fact that we're angry or sad or in pain. We won't even tell ourselves the truth. But we need to be authentic and true and honest with ourselves. And sometimes we need to ask some questions, like saying, where in my life am I hurting? What pain or am I unwilling to face? Where do I have some unfinished emotional business that I haven't taken care of? Where in my life am I struggling? Where do I have a pattern of sabotaging myself? Where in my life do I feel like I'm damaged goods or not worthy? Where in my life, or what mistake have I not forgiven myself, or what am I still having regret from in the past? And the fact is, you don't have to know specifically. You just need to recognize that you're stuck, that you're in pain, that you're hurting, that you've got the blues or you feel overwhelmed. It doesn't have to be specific. You just need to be honest and acknowledge it. The interesting thing is, we have this problem of just being honest that we're hurting or stuff. And the fact is, pain and frustration is normal. We act like we're abnormal. And we won't admit it because we don't want to be weird or different. The fact is, Jesus said, in this life there'll be trials and tribulations. In this life there will be frustration and loss and sadness and grief and pain. That's a part of the deal of being alive. So just acknowledging it really shouldn't be as hard. The pain and acknowledge it isn't the problem. You know what the problem is? The problem is the story we tell ourselves about the pain. That they did it on purpose. They were all out to get me. This is a dog-eat-dog world. You can't trust anybody. It is not the pain or the emotion. It is the story that we pile on it. It's the judgment that we make about it. It is the resistance. It is how much we hate what happened. That is where the problem is. That's what scares us the most. It's a story we tell ourselves about it. Somebody once said that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. And most apparently opt in. And it's the story behind it that makes life so painful. It's the story. So what we need to do is just acknowledge the pain. I feel hurt or betrayed or sad or whatever got triggered. Just the plain pain. We don't need to add any extra fixins or secret sauce. We don't need to deep fry it or supersize it. We don't. We just acknowledge whatever the pain is. And sometimes we might need some therapy to help us own and acknowledge it. But awareness is the first step. Acknowledging it is the first step to liberation. Second one is to accept responsibility. Accept responsibility for the toxic energy, the negative emotions, that we hold on to. Whoever did to us, guess what? We're the one responsible for holding on to it beyond the event. We're the one that responsible for holding on to it for weeks or months or years. Sometimes it's amazing. The word responsibility, doesn't it sound like a punishment? I'm responsible. It sounds like a burden. At a minimum, it feels like a hard pill to swallow, doesn't it? I'm responsible. And so what we do is, instead of being responsible, we blame somebody. It's their fault. Look what they did. Now, here's the thing about responsibility. We act like it's a burden, but the fact is, it is one of the most liberating things in the world. Because when you say, someone did it to me, it means that they have control over your happiness and not you. Responsibility isn't a burden. It's a liberating power a liberating thing of reclaiming our power. Saying responsible means I get to choose. I get to make my life better. I don't have to wait for them to do anything for my life to be better. I have that power now, and I want to accept and assume that responsibility. It is changing our ability to respond. That's what responsibility is. I can respond and choose and show up and make my life better, and I don't have to wait for someone to do or say something for me. I am in charge of my life. I love the story of the hemorrhaging woman. Let me just read you some of it because it's so inspiring. Matthew 5, verses 25 to 32. Here's what it says. A crowd followed and pressed around him, and a woman who was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years. She had suffered a great deal under the care of many doctors and spent all she had. Yet, instead of getting better, she grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, she came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak because she thought, if I just touch his clothes, I will be healed. Immediately, her bleeding stopped, and she felt in her body that she was freed from her suffering. At once, Jesus realized the power had gone out from him, and he turned around the crowd and asked, "Who touched my clothes?" The woman, then knowing what happened to her, came and fell at his feet, trembling with fear, and told him the truth. And he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be freed from your suffering." So here's the thing I love about this. She'd been bleeding for 12 years. She had gone to many doctors that didn't help her. She spent all of her money. Instead of getting better, she was getting worse. And yet, she didn't have a pity party. She didn't blame. She still was responsible for her own health. She didn't go to negativity. She just kept moving forward to what she wanted. Sometimes after 12 years of something working, sometimes we could start to blame or feel hopeless. But she took full responsibility for her life. It doesn't matter if it was 12 years ago or 50 years ago. We're still responsible, and we still have the power to make a new choice. We still have the power to be healed. We still have the power to change and transform our lives. And Jesus even emphasized it when he said, "Your faith has made you whole." Like, she claimed her power no matter how long things hadn't been going well. She didn't give up. She knew she was still responsible. That makes sense, everybody? That it matters not how long anything has happened. We have the power today. And we always have the power. And that's our responsibility. It is the ability to reclaim our power and make a new choice to improve our lives. Awareness, accepting responsibility. And let's talk about compassion for a second. You know, when we accept responsibility, we start thinking, okay, I'm responsible. And sometimes we could take it a little too far and think it's my fault. You know, I'm the reason it happened. And sometimes we get a little carried away. And sometimes when we make mistakes, I don't know about you, but sometimes when I used to make mistakes, I would just beat myself up, thinking, what's the matter with me? You know, I was so dumb, that was not a good move. Anybody ever beat themselves up? You know, I don't know, why is it that we choose to do the shame, blame, and beat yourself up school of personal development? I don't know why. I have a master's in it, you know, it's just amazing. We think that that's going to help us get better. One of the things I find so interesting, human beings sometimes, we are so conditional in our love. But what's the worst is we are conditional with our own love. When we're on top of the mountain and things are going good, we're proud, we love ourselves. But when we're down, sometimes we beat ourselves up. Sometimes we'll kick ourselves when we are down. Why is it that we have to fight and struggle and hustle for our own love and approval and acceptance? The last thing we should do when we're down or struggling or hurting or feel ashamed or scared or abandoned is withdraw our own love from ourselves. And so my question is, can we all give ourselves permission when we're hurting or lost or frustrated or whatever thing we're going through or getting triggered, to just say to ourselves, even though I'm feeling sad or ashamed or whatever now, I still love and accept myself right where I am. I still love and value myself right where I am. I still love and appreciate myself right where I am. I still love and honor who I am right here and now. Love, compassion is about love and understanding. Being understanding that we make mistakes, being understanding that we hurt, and to not withdraw the support and encouragement from ourselves. Even though I'm hurting and abandoned or scared, you know, I love and honor myself right where I am. I love and accept myself right where I am. And can you make a space when you're hurting and when things aren't going well to not withdraw your love, but to bathe yourself in that love and support? Because I guarantee you it'll do more to help heal you and open you to God's love than pounding yourself when you're down. Make sense? Yes. Okay. And the next one is to ask God, bring it to God, because God is the one who heals. Here's what it says in Philippians. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which surpasses all human understanding, will be in your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. And to me, what that says, asking, and in Psalm 30, it says, Lord my God, I called to you for help, and you healed me. And in the book of James, it says, if you are lacking in anything, ask God who gives generously. Here's the thing about asking. It shows an intention, a desire, and a willingness to be healed. That's why asking is important. It is an intention, a desire, and a willingness to be changed and transformed. And it's a faith that through that Spirit of God that we can be made whole again. So we must be willing to actively open our hearts, not just feel and be responsible and compassionate, but then let it go trusting that God will heal us. And there are simple prayers you can pray. A simple prayer like, God, heal me and help me know the truth that I am whole, complete, and lacking in nothing. God, heal my heart and help me know the truth that I am whole, complete, and lacking in nothing. God, heal my abandonment or my trust issues. And let me know the truth that I'm whole, complete, and lacking in nothing. God, heal my hurt, and let me know the truth that I'm whole, complete, and lacking in nothing. If you can remember that, let's say it together. Let's do it for hurt. God, let's see. God, heal my hurt, and help me know the truth that I'm whole, complete, lacking in nothing. Let's say it together. God, heal my hurt, and let me know the truth that I am whole, complete, and lacking in nothing. Just take a deep breath. And can you just let God's love just wash over you and bathe you and cleanse you from that pain? And of course, you'd spend more time on it when you're on your own. But that simple thing, simple prayer is all you need. There's another simple one in Psalm 51, and it says, create in me a clean heart, O Lord, and renew a right spirit within me. Create in me a clean heart, O Lord, and renew a right spirit within me. A simple prayer like that can be a powerful, powerful healing. Create in me a clean heart, O Lord, and renew a right spirit within me. Let's say that together. Create in me a clean heart, O Lord, and renew a right spirit within me. Just deep breath. And the last simple prayer I'll give you, this is called the grace prayer, and here's what it says. God, heal what needs to be healed, and reveal what needs to be revealed, so that I may glorify you, God, and live in the fullness of your grace. I mean, there are all kinds of little prayers. The question is, are you willing to open your heart to God and ask for the healing and let God heal? Because asking is a sign of intention, desire, and willingness to let God heal you, love you, and lift you. Last thing we want to talk about is to appreciate and activate. I love in the story of the hemorrhaging woman, the last lines is, go in peace, your faith has made you whole, go in peace and be freed of your suffering. So here's my question. Could you imagine after 12 years of bleeding, 12 years of not feeling good, all the money she'd lost, all the energy, could you imagine after she got healed how much new energy she had? Let me ask you, what do you think, how different do you think her life was? How different do you think her attitude toward life was? How different do you think her energy level was? How different do you think the things she spoke about and what she wore and how she behaved and the things she did and the experiences she had? Wouldn't her life have been different? Because when we heal, that energy that used to be trapped in us is liberated, and we can create something new. That whatever it is in us, that when it gets healed, it gives us a new opportunity to live and love and be greater channels for creativity and joy and passion and happiness and fulfillment. And that sounds easy. You heal, you get a new deal. You heal, you appreciate, and you activate the new energy. But sometimes it isn't as easy. Because sometimes we've been holding on to the story so long, we don't know how to let it go or what to do with that energy if we had that energy. Let me give you an example. Anybody ever see the movie The Princess Bride? Anybody ever? Really old movie. They show it like all the time on TBS. But anyway, Inigo Montoya spent 20 years wanting to get revenge on the six-fingered man who killed his father. And at the end of the movie, after the 20 years, he kills a six-fingered guy. And then Wesley, the star, says to him, he says, Indigo, so now what are you going to do now? You got revenge? And Indigo says to him, he says, you know, I've been in the revenge business so long, I have no idea what to do with the rest of my life. And here's my question for you. Is for whatever you've been holding on to for a long time, if that energy were suddenly liberated, what would you do with that energy? What would you feel? What would you think? How different would your attitude be? How different would your energy be? What activities would you do? You know, how would your perspective change? Because every one of us, a part of the healing deal is to let that go and bring something new. Let the new thing come forth, because there'll be more energy, and part of your responsibility is to think, who am I going to be beyond this? Because sometimes we have defined ourselves by whatever the pain was, but who are you going to be when it's not there? Because you have to have a plan and activate and create that new energy. Nelson Mandela went to prison for 26 years for his activism. Inside, he could have easily felt hatred and anger. Instead, he did a lot of inner work, healed himself, and he created a space that he came out of prison after 26 years in his 70s and became the president of his country. Oprah Winfrey was raped. She had not the greatest upbringing. She was even told when she got into television she wasn't good for television. She did a lot of healing work. And Oprah Winfrey opened a space with that new energy that was used from abuse and pain, and used it. Probably one of the most influential women in the world. Abraham Lincoln, you know, had a nervous breakdown. I believe his fiancee died. He lost a ton of elections, business, bankruptcy. He did a lot of inner work and channeled that energy to become one of the greatest presidents in our history. Whatever it is we are holding on to can literally be the energy that will be the trigger for us to do great things in the world. And of course, I always give these like big examples, you know, like Oprah and Mandela and Abe Lincoln. But I'll tell you, healing does powerful things in even simple ways. I've struggled a lot myself with a sense of worthiness. You know, am I really worthy? Am I really worthy of love or success or whatever else? And over the last few years, I've had some wonderful breakthroughs. I'll tell you, today I'm happier than I've ever been. And here's the deal. The thing that my healing and wholeness has done is just help me to be more comfortable in my own skin. And that doesn't sound like a big deal, but there's so much anxiety you're always trying to prove yourself that suddenly nothing outside has changed. I'm still the same guy. I look the same. I still do the same things. But what's different? I feel more joy in here. I feel more creativity. I feel more peace. I feel more connection in my friendships and relationships. I feel more close to my family. All your healing, it isn't necessarily, you know, finding the cure for cancer. It's about making a difference right where you are with the people around you and having your life feel more joyful, having you experiencing more love and light in your family, in your life, within yourself, and all that you do, and you're here to contribute to the world. Happiness is an inside job. Fulfillment is an inside job, and the question is, are you willing to do that healing work that is yours to do to help you open yourself to be a greater channel to create space for God's grace? God bless you all.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
God bless you, everybody. Have a great day and a wonderful week.